We were working with cool brands around the whole definition of defining what is cool. And we wanted to kind of create a space where students and academics could drop in and leave their interpretation of what cool meant to them. Inflate was a company that I had been intrigued with for many years, so I have to say it was a complete whim, but it provided us with a flexible, movable space, which in itself was quite magnetic in terms of it would draw people in because it has a kind of sense of fascination about it. So that was our original reason for investing in a pod. When we ordered the very first pod, we ordered something called Legs 11, which is essentially a two-man pod at best. And actually, the first one to land on our doorstep was a 25-man classroom, which is highly entertaining, but we had to send it back, unfortunately. We have subsequently invested in more pods for the college. We originally bought the pod as a kind of polling station, if you like, to get an opinion about the kind of definition of cool. However, subsequently, we've used pods for students to use as kind of reflection zones. We've used them in a variety of different teaching and learning situations. They've been used by the Widening Participation Bureau, and I use kind of all over the college for different kinds of student-based activities. Specifically, the immediacy and the spontaneity of a student being able to walk into what's quite a captivating environment in the middle of maybe a workshop and actually leave a reflective statement, which they can then take away on a memory stick or they can email them to themselves, has paid great dividends. I think students were able to compile a kind of a video journal of all their kind of entries, and they were able to kind of capture that dialogue that I think if we'd have asked them to go away and write a 500-word statement or a paragraph after their workshop, we'd have lost the kind of the essence of what they were actually trying to say. At the same time as working with this idea of video reflection, we were also trialing a project on video tutorial feedback, which was centered around the idea of capturing the practice-based dialogue that is often kind of lost when a tutor and student have a conversation and you get this kind of distilled set of words put onto a tutorial pad that actually when the student takes away with them has very little meaning or context. So these two kind of ideas ran in parallel and actually fed each other, and it was really from that kind of concept of the video tutorial that we came up with the idea of video reflection, again about capturing this really rich dialogue from students across a variety of different specialisms, from the more kind of process-driven business students to media students to design students, etc. I think one of the unforeseen benefits, if you want, about this was actually students found it very cathartic. I think for a student to be able to pop into this space in the middle of a session and actually just kind of offload, maybe after formative assessment or after a summative feedback tutorial, was actually really useful for them. Actually, I think the students got a huge amount out of the video tutorial project. I think one of the major pitfalls, or one of the things it kind of highlighted, is you have to be very careful what you say on video, especially as a member of academic staff, because you can actually be held to ransom over that. And often, especially I would do tutorials with a colleague and say design tutorials, they are naturally quite a rich process. There's a very active dialogue going on, which is a three-way conversation. And within that situation, you can kind of read into what you think is going on in terms of the students' understanding of the conversation. But you can also say things that can be misinterpreted, and students can come back and say, aha, but you told me this. This trial was specifically delivered on a flexible program of courses, so that's all part-time undergraduate BAs. Part-time students, by their very nature, are incredibly time-pressured, families, careers, as well as taking on a 4-year full-on degree program. I think the opportunity to just look back at a video tutorial or a video reflection where you get the full context, you can see the full conversation without any editing, is just very, very useful, because you're not having to kind of fill in the blanks and you're not having to try and remember what tutor A said or tutor B said or this person said. You've got the full scripts there, which can be replayed and replayed and replayed, and students have actually said to us about how they found it useful to actually be able to go into a particular clip and just rewind something that was said when we were talking about their work, because so the video tutorial, the camera was also looking at the work, so it was a dialogue about the work that was being shown on the table there and then, as well as having that kind of conversation.